Good morning, everybody. It's 8:30. We'll call this morning's meeting to order. First item is the approval of the agenda. We do have one addition, and we're going to have Brian Green give an update on the emergency shelter that was set up.
Move to approve with the addition.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carried. We'll move into citizens to be heard. Citizens to be heard. Seeing none, we'll move to the approval of the bills and vouchers.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. And then we have the minutes from December 7th.
Move to approve.
Second.
And a second?
Sorry, second.
Okay, and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. At this time, we'd like to recognize two contributions. One was $600, $20 towards the social services for families in need from the Memorial Rotary, and a $200 contribution to the sheriff's work detail from the St. John's Church in Georgetown. So we'd like to thank both of those organizations for those contributions. All right, this time, Brian, do you want to come up and give us a report on what went on over the weekend? Or?
Sure. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Well, kind of aware of that. We opened up the shelter, emergency shelter at the Armory, after about 3:30 on Friday afternoon. It's when I got notified. The mayor of Moorhead went directly to the governor's office to request that. They did get permission for that. So we did some logistics to get the Armory open. And Saturday, I believe Saturday was Saturday, my days are getting kind of mixed up. Sunday is actually the day that we got cots. We used our cots. We set up 42 cots, linen and all the other items that they needed for the Armory. And then at 8 o'clock Sunday night, it opened for the homeless people. The overflow from the other shelters throughout Fargo Moorhead. First night they had 14 there, and then last night they had 17 people there, all males. There was a meeting coming up on Wednesday, tomorrow, for the community to try to get together, try to figure out how we can fix the problem. Again, it's probably not the right procedure on how to get an emergency shelter, but we worked with it, and that's where we're at right now. We will.
How long did that? How long is that order for, Brian?
The order was given to me directly saying that it's a temporary. That means as soon as possible, close it up.
Okay.
But it could be up to 14 days.
Okay.
So Homeland Security, of course, had to be involved because the guard, falls underneath them. So the governor gave the order to Homeland Security, and then from there went to basically the county, which would have been me. And then we had asked permission to open up the shelter, and they did. So.
Are you responsible for feeding them too then, or, I mean, are they?
No, they're only there from 8 o'clock at night till 8 in the morning. So whatever shelter they go to, they get vested, means that they're okay to go there. They'll transport them over to the Armory, and basically it's a sleeping place, and they have water and coffee, and of course the utilities, bathrooms and stuff like that. And then in the morning, they get transferred back again to either wherever they need to go. And guard personnel have been taken care of them. That was not part of the deal. It was just a facility and no personnel besides the manager of the building. That basically it is. And then the first 2 nights they have not had enough volunteers. So they called in guard personnel and they've been taking care of it.
Okay. Brian.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, just for discussion while Lieutenant Green is here as well, I did receive calls from Kathy McKay and Lieutenant Green Friday night, and it would really, with this being forecasted, it would have been nice to have this planned ahead of time rather than in the 11th hour. So if any of you have any discussions with this or are involved in a committee or anything to establish that, we'll be talking, I'm sure, to the city about future planning, because then guards people had to come in that had plans and other things. So it'd really been nice to be able to schedule, let's do work on a Wednesday or Thursday to get this set up. It was a good idea, but just really at the last minute.
Well, yeah, I think that's right. If there's a need for something like this for an overflow and when it gets this cold, then it's kind of hard for somebody on a short notice to make those arrangements. And Brian, thank you for doing that in such short notice. But we do need to have a dialogue with maybe the mayor and the city.
Yeah, it would have just, it worked well, but it would have
Yeah.
been a lot easier.
There's a lot of other facilities that we could have used, or we could have rented a facility, or we could try to get hotel rooms, stuff like that before. But once, they ask permission from the governor gives us permission, basically our hands are kind of tied, so. Again, tomorrow we have that meeting.
And I was unaware of the meeting. So.
Yeah, well, Sue Klossman basically is in charge of she's the director for Churches United. She's kind of heading up this to try to get some different kind of alternative than using the armory.
Okay.
So it's tomorrow, in short notice, I know that, it's from 12:30 till 2 o'clock at Churches United, and that's at 1901 First Avenue North in Fargo. No, I'm
Right.
sorry, right, yep.
Yeah.
So if we can get some people over there, that would be great. Commissioner would be fantastic if we could get that. Brian, I don't know if your schedule's free or not.
I can certainly check. Tomorrow at 2, did you say?
Yeah, tomorrow.
No.
12:30.
12:30 to 2.
What's the meeting for, to discuss what?
Well, we can't have, consistently have people in the armory. We're gonna have to do something else. We have to try to find some different plans to do something different. And again, it's just not Moorhead and Clay County. This is a FM.
Well, see, what's happened is in the previous few years, the overflow went to churches, and they stopped doing that.
Yeah.
Rhonda, am I correct on that? They stopped doing that service, so there's still that need out there, and so we got to, as a community, got to figure out how to do that. I think you're
Yes, that's
right.
exactly what it is, yep. And there is 2 other churches that are available, but they're under construction, and that they will be maybe middle of the January, that they'll be ready, but again, that's still not quite gonna meet the need.
All right, well, we will try to, we'll talk among us and try to have somebody there too.
What numbers are we talking about? What is the overflow number?
Well, first night was 14, and last night was 17. Okay, now we don't have females there. Tonight they will if they have enough volunteers. So if we have volunteers from, that'll come in and assist us that are female at the guard, then they will start taking in females. The number could go up. We were told it'd be 40, at least around 40. So we set up as many costs as we had, which was 34, but we can always get more too from Red Cross if we need them, so.
Okay. So who was overseeing that the last 2 nights then? Who was overseeing that over there?
The guard personnel.
Okay, guard personnel.
Yep. Yeah, we've been constantly in contact with the group of all the committees. Sue Klossman basically is the head of it, and there's a bunch more. With
Are we
the
going to
other
have,
homes.
somebody with rank from the guard that can maybe go to that meeting tomorrow too?
Yep, I believe so, yes, yep. Peter Rampert, it's a major over there, he's in charge of the army over there.
Okay.
I believe he will be there, otherwise there'll be another captain over there, so. Again, I was told.
Brian, hopefully you can try to...
I'll try to make it, yeah. Sure I can.
Okay, anything else, Brian, on that issue? No, thank you again for, I know it's, you were kind of put on the spot on short notice there, and thank you for...
Anything else, just give me a holler.
Okay.
Appreciate it, thank you.
All right, you'll be there tomorrow too?
Yes.
Sounds good, thank you. All right, we'll move on to our 8:35 item, that's the approved change order number 9 for the Correctional Facility Law Enforcement Center.
Thank you.
Good morning, Brian, again.
Well, good morning, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. What you have before you is change order number 9 in regards to the construction project, the correctional facility, and a law enforcement center. Many of these things we have talked about on an ongoing basis. We've been tried to give you updates on them, but they don't always have the price that's attached to them and things when we do talk about the changes. So, but I did just ask construction engineers to give me a formal request so that we could get up to date on these. And some of these have not been done yet. These are to be done in the future as well. And that one is, a good example of that one is near the bottom where it says, second from the bottom, it says demo existing fire hydrant by Sallyport hydrant. We'll need to dig up to into the street, and that's why it's a pretty pricey little change, but that'll be done come summer. But the hydrant and the connections aren't in the right location. So if you want to go over these just a little bit, I think it's a good reminder. PR 12 at the top, revision to the inmate toilet rooms. If you remember, when we had approval from DOC, that was a preliminary approval, and then after they went through the drawings again, they make several small changes to them, and that necessitates then a change order when they do make those changes, and that's the reason for that one. The position switch, it's the OH doors and security windows, that was not in the design, and they were needed in there. That was, and PR 20 was additional power and data, furniture and visitation coordination. Now that's pretty important because that deals with the fact that this is being done, the correctional facility is being done in 2 stages. So we'll move the prisoners over to occupy the new space, and then we have to have a temporary setup for the visitations and things until phase 2 is done. So that's really isn't in the design, but it's a necessary need that we have. And frankly, when you guys went forward with building this in 2 stages, that was to save lots of money so that we didn't have to empty out the jail in the process. So you're going to have some temporary costs that are needed, and that's one of them. And then some hardware changes on a door. I think we were going to use the old hardware there, and it just wasn't working out. The keying mechanisms weren't working out. So there's an adjustment there. That inlet for chemical injections into boiler tanks, there's no cost to that. We're catching that early enough. Added lighting at the mugshot area. The staff over at the jail wanted some additional lightings and data in the TV rooms and things along those lines that were, the architect felt were a needed request. Add casework. I'm down to PR 29 now. Add casework and power in the day room. Again, that is, I believe, in the work work release area where they can have some access to microwaves and different things. So was a request to have some additional power in the hookups in there. Fire pump changes. There was a revision on the pump. There was a 100 horsepower pump in there, and it was reduced to a 75 horsepower, which is a savings of $7,000. Added fire rating around, that's just the caulk around the inlets through a wall penetration. Temporary sidewalk expansion to accommodate the transport van. We found out real quickly that the ground that the van has to back up to the jail door gets pretty soft when it rains and things, so they put in an additional concrete slab there, and that was our request. Deleted a fire pump annunciator. That was again a credit of $741. And I already talked about the demo to the existing fire hydrant at the Sallyport. It was right in the driveway, and now it needs to be moved. And the additional concrete slab at the power plant. That was around by the power plant, and I guess I remember when Joe and I looked at that, there was some motorcycle parking there, and if it would have been done the way it was, there was a drop-off, and we added some concrete coming around, which added more parking, and it was a safer setup, and that hadn't been designed that way. So those are a bunch of the change orders that we've talked about many times at the construction area. Some have been completed, some haven't, but asking for a motion on approval of change order number 9.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? And then all these, for this one, pertain to the correctional facility and not the LEC.
Yeah, you know, Mr. Chair, you're right. We don't think we have any. I take that back. The concrete slab at the power plant, no. You're right, they're all on the correctional
I
facility.
think when we do, if we were to have some for the LEC, we'd want to have a separate change order, right, for, just to keep.
Keep them apart? Okay, sure.
All right.
And then,
Oh, yes.
the next thing I have, Mr. Chair, it's...
Okay, can we vote, do you want to vote
Oh,
on
yeah,
this?
you betcha.
Okay.
Yeah, sure do.
All right, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Okay, Brian.
Moving along too fast here. And this is more for reports than anything else, but this is, you can run over it a little bit if you'd like.
Latest timeline?
Yeah.
Yep.
And it kind of lays out the whole thing, rather than the 3-week and 4-week look ahead that you normally hand out. I think you got one of these too. at the
Yes.
Construction meeting. There might be 2 there, but.
Thank you.
Here, is it? You got two of the same thing.
Yeah, which one's the same?
I think, oh, wait.
There's 2 separate ones. One has red on the top, one has gray, so you
Oh.
have 2.
And there isn't a whole lot to be said about this, but the first one is, says Clay County Jail Phase 1. And if you notice that you see where the red line is, the vertical red line, they're about half or maybe a little more than halfway done with that. And you'll see all of the critical things that have been completed. It was pretty exciting to look at this the other day and realize that we're well on down the road. And frankly, when they've set a lot of those cells, I'm kind of anxious to go in there this afternoon and see some of that. I've been in there for quite a while. Because remember, there's 2 stages, 2 phases to the correctional facility. So, and if the other one, of course, is the Law Enforcement Center, and that's, of course, will be completely finished by this summer. But again, you'll see an awful lot of work completed. That's the dark horizontal lines and where we're at in the middle of December with it. And you'll see that, you get 3-4 months out, and they're into interior finishings and startup and testings and things like that. So they're looking at a owner occupancy as early as in June. We can shoot for July to have everything sewn up, but the way things are going, I wouldn't be surprised we'll have furniture and things in there in June and be ready to go, so. Any questions or comments on that? I guess, like I said, when we got these passed out to us last Monday, it was pretty exciting to see it laid out like that.
Yeah, when they start talking about already doing sheet rocking and tiling the floors in the bathrooms, it's.
Painting.
Painting.
Painting, yeah.
Are we out ahead of the project, or are we where we're supposed to be, or?
We're where we're supposed to be, but that's pretty exciting for a big
I mean,
project, because they usually lag behind. They run into things, and that costs more money when they get lagging behind, and so it's pretty exciting to see that it's so much on schedule.
There you go.
Okay.
Okay,
These
thank you,
are-
Mr. Chair.
Is here.
All right, we'll move into our 840 item, and that's a request to fill a vacancy for social services and child protection services again.
Was that on there again?
Again.
It's
Well,
kind of
this,
routine, isn't it?
yeah, this one unfortunately is one of my supervisors. Stacy Christensen, who is my supervisor in child protection assessment, has resigned. She's been with us for 20 years, and she's going to be a loss to our agency, that's for sure. But she's given me a couple month notice, which is will be really helpful in trying to fill her position. So she supervises our upfront initial intake and assessment, so all of our child protection investigators, as well as 2 cases, so she supervises 12 staff. It's just a very critical position that we refill. I would be posting internally as well as looking externally for replacing her position. So I did wage calculator. I did ask Darren to assume if we were lucky enough to get a 3-week overlap. So I did ask him to assume a 3-week overlap with her last day and then a new person coming on. With payout and everything, we did see a little bit of savings still to the 2018 budget of a little over $3,000. Yep, a little over $3,000. So I'm seeking approval to fill her position and then any backfill that might occur if we had internal movement.
So moved.
Second.
All right, motion and second.
With backfill.
Further discussion? Oh, we're sorry to hear that Stacy's
Yeah,
leaving.
yeah, it's a loss for sure.
Brian?
Mr. Chair, I hate to say it, but I think it's appropriate to bring it up at this time. Rhonda's been here for quite a few replacements in child protection, and now this is the supervisor in child protection. I think it just really lends itself to the stress that these social workers go through in that arena. And I know we talk about that every once in a while, and I know Commissioner Whalen, being former chief of police, and Rhonda working in that child protection area, realizes that the stress that it is. So I think it is a really important area. Just for a mental note, I guess, that is a demanding field.
All right. Well, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. Motion carries.
All right, thank
Okay,
you.
Rhonda, thank you. All right, next we have the approval of the annual detox policy review. We have Kathy and Troy here this morning. Good morning, Troy. Good morning, Kathy.
Good morning.
Policy review that we have is required annually by this board. The policies are based on Minnesota Department of Health requirements as well as the Department of Human Service requirements. So most of the policies, the majority of them are not optional, they're required policies. There's a couple of policy changes. We had standing orders that were just general standing orders for any client, but the Board of Nursing has required those to be client-specific orders. So we did have to change that policy. And we updated a substance use disorder screening tool that was part of our Department of Human Services review. So those are the two major changes in the policies that we have. And I believe that you did receive an electronic copy of those multiple pages of policies.
Did either of those changes add any unexpected costs to your processes?
No, they did not.
Move to
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? None. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, the same.
Okay.
Motion carried.
We also should let you know that we had a contract with a medical director through Essentia, and they are ending the contract for the medical director for detox, the juvenile detention, as well as public health. So we are in a pretty expedited search for a medical director for all of our areas now. We have 30 days to find another medical director, so we are in search of someone that can cover those areas. The difficult area would be, I think, the detox and the juvenile detention center, just because there is 24/7 calls. So the Essentia staff did not feel that they wanted to cover all of that call with the high needs clients that we serve. So we're hoping to find someone, and maybe two
How much is left in
positions.
that contract? How much time?
30 days.
Oh, so it's just a 30-day contract anyway?
30-day, yeah.
They have a 30-day out clause, is that what?
Right, correct, yes.
Right,
yeah.
my question was, what was the contract's initial end date?
I want to say it was April think it was April, where the contract was signed, but the reason why it came up in December is because the physician that covered all of our areas is retiring at the end of this month.
So what's your process to replace? How do you go about that?
I've been in contact now with officials at Sanford to see if they would like to cover the contract for all of those areas, so they are checking out that process. I worked with the business agent at Essentia to see if there was other physicians there, and maybe even emergency room doctors that could cover, for sure, detox and the juvenile detention, and he has not heard back from the emergency room doctors, so both of those are being explored to see whether we have anyone that would be able to replace.
Do they have to come here? Is that,
No, they do not.
we take them there, okay.
Mhm. Yeah,
All right. No, you can keep us posted on that.
sure. Okay,
All right. Thank you.
thank you.
Thanks.
No more swing, huh?
All right, Darren? Darren has, good morning, Darren. You have several things for us. Year-end items that we deal with.
Christmas.
We'll start with the grid adjustments for 2018.
Okay, a lot of this is just pretty standard end-of-year stuff that we do. The first thing is to approve the grid adjustments for 2018 of 2.5%. That would be put across the board for the grids, variable hour grid, regular grid, and the elected officials as well.
Okay, and so that matches what had been in the various labor contracts that we
Correct.
had?
Correct.
All right, so,
And I
do we
don't know
take
if
these
you
one
want
at a time, Brian, I think?
Yeah, you normally do, yeah, Mr. Chair.
one at a time.
Okay.
I'll move to approve the grid adjustments for 2018.
I'll second. Question.
Okay.
I mean, I realize we're approving this 2.5%, but didn't we approve that when we approved the contracts, or, I mean, is this just a formality, or?
This would be for the rest of the county that are non-unionized. But the contracts, yes, we did approve it for those contracts that were coming in this year, or this 2018.
Right.
Okay?
Oh,
The next.
So let's
I'm
see,
sorry.
did we vote?
No.
No. So all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same, motion carried. Next, you went to meal reimbursement.
Meal reimbursement rates, we actually increased them last year for this year, and so we're proposing that there would be no increase this year. Breakfast is $10, lunch $15, and dinner would be $20 reimbursement rate.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same, motion carried. And our per diem rates.
Per diem rate, that was changed from $75 to $100 back in 2016. We're proposing no increase at this time.
Changed in 2015, I think. The end of 2015.
It was the end of 2015 for 2016, I think is what it was.
Move to approve.
We have a motion to approve
Second.
and a second. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carried. We'll move into the IRS mileage rate increase.
The IRS mileage rate increase, I just got this at the end of last week, and it is increasing to 54.5 cents. So that would be an increase of 1 cent per mile.
I think our
Next year.
resolution's always been to keep it whatever the
Yes.
IRS rate is.
Yes, and then the 40 cents per mile for if you use your own vehicle and a county vehicle is available, you'd be reimbursed at 40 cents a mile.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second.
Okay?
Discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carried, and we have the
And
furlough.
Yep, the last thing is the 2018 furlough program. Last year, I ran the numbers for 2017. I ran them about a week ago, I guess, maybe a week and a half ago. We had people using 1,038 furlough hours for approximately a $27,000 wages that we did not pay out. So we are recommending that the furlough program stays in place for 2018 at the same rates.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same, motion carried. All right, so then, now you were gonna talk about this triple gold healthcare plan.
Yep. Just a quick note also, I looked on there's no change to any of the para rates for 2017 as well, so that will remain the same as well.
Motion for that.
Okay. I don't think we really need a motion for that, because we would have to do that anyway. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the discussion to limit new enrollment into the Triple Gold Healthcare Plan. The insurance committee has really been busy this year. We've met, I don't know, probably 3-4 times at least. We've come up with a subcommittee to kind of try to look at our insurance rates and how we can decrease them as we go into the future. And one of the recommendations from the insurance committee was to limit or end new enrollments into the Triple Gold Healthcare Plan. It is our most expensive plan. It has a tendency to drive our rates up. And so what we're trying to do is phase that out. Come on January 1st of 2018, we would not allow any new members into that Triple Gold plan. Right now, we have been actually losing members out of the Triple Gold plan already because it is so rich. I think we had 106 people in it at the end of 2017, and going into 2018, we have 88 people in it still. But those people would remain and continue to have the Triple Gold plan. It would just be for new enrollees, would not be allowed to enroll in that. So the insurance committee did vote on that to try to limit that to current employees only, that they would be able to maintain it, but eventually we're looking at that Triple Gold plan possibly even becoming a Cadillac plan taxed in 2019, 2020. So the insurance committee is also looking at that as well. Right now, I did a breakdown of the who is in the Triple Gold plan. Like I said, going into 2018, we'll have 88 people into that plan. 55 of those are non-union members, and 33 of those are union members. I think in this open enrollment, we did have one member that switched into single Triple Gold. But other than that, not a lot of people are going into the Triple Gold. Our actual VIBA and HSA VIBA are getting more and more members as we go along, so which was kind of the goal in the first part. We are currently in negotiations with a couple unions, the social workers, case aides, and let's see, and detox. We did send out a memorandum a couple months ago, actually, to all the unions to get them on board with this change as well. And we have heard back from the corrections deputies, lieutenants, juvenile detention, and highway unions that they are okay with this change as well. So we've already got them on board. So what we would be approving today would be all of those unions plus all the non-union members of the county. The union members that have not signed on board with that, we're still in negotiations with. And then the only outstanding one that we haven't heard from yet is the detox union, which we're not in negotiations with, but we haven't received their MOU back either. So we're still trying to do some follow-up with them on whether they're going to be able to get that MOU signed. And we're hoping with the other ones that we are in negotiation with, we'll be able to get them to buy into the MOU as well.
So the adjustment annually will still be based on the Triple Gold?
At this point, yes. Until,
When would that end, when there's no longer anybody?
yeah, that would be something that we would have to come up with in the insurance committee. That's one of the things we're looking at in the sub-insurance committee, to look at all aspects and variables of what we can and can't do. But as for right now, that would still remain in triple gold until we get that changed.
Wouldn't that,
Mr. Chair.
oh, excuse me, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Frank?
But wouldn't if you have less people in triple gold, wouldn't that gonna be driving the rates up with that thing too more and cost cafeteria plan to really go up a lot higher? I mean, we keep on using triple gold as the base.
Yeah,
And
yes,
and we have fewer people in it.
yes.
Wouldn't that drive the rates for triple gold up even higher?
Depends on
Not necessarily.
who's using it in that
Yeah.
base, right?
Some people are in it and they use it a lot. Some people are in it just because it's convenient and they, everything's paid for. It is kind of a hard argument sometimes when our county contribution pays 100% of the triple gold single premium. So, why not take the triple gold if you're in the single plan, because it's getting paid for through the county contribution? Those are some of the things that the insurance committee and the subcommittee are going to be looking at on how we can make it more affordable, but also get people. It seems like Jennifer's done a really good job of explaining the benefits of between the triple gold, the Vivas, the HSAs, and as more of that information and education gets out there, we see more and more people migrating to those Vivas and HSA plans. And so I think down the road, we will have to look at the triple gold plan of, is it beginning to be a Cadillac's tax plan, and will it become too rich for us at that point? But we are seeing migration in the right direction.
Okay. You're saying that new employees can't enroll in this? Will not be able to. What about current employees? Are they still going to be able to go into it?
Yeah, that's, the intent was to limit it, but the way we worded it, a current employee, let's say a current employee that has a Viva plan, and during open enrollment they wanted to go to the triple gold, we're trying to dissuade that, but the verbiage says that they still could do that.
Okay.
And this
But
just
I think
allows you
it's-
the time to develop the policy
Exactly.
to figure out what we're going to do with that
Right.
plan.
If we were to come in and say, we're going to get rid of the triple gold, kind of like what we did with the double gold, it would be much more difficult because there's so many more people in the triple gold than when we got rid of the double gold, there was hardly anybody in it.
Right.
And there was very few union members in it as well. And so we're trying to ease ourselves into this to limit it more down the road.
Brian?
I'm sure. Darren, just for clarification, Commissioner Wayland asked about what the premium is based on, or what the cafeteria plan is. Is it the triple gold? I thought it changed.
Nope, I think it's
Is it still the triple?
Still, yeah. So that was my question.
Yeah.
So
I
when the new
changed away
rates
from
come
that.
in, we base the percentage that the county pays on the triple gold, so, which is always causes it to be higher. too.
It's always higher.
And I mean, Frank's point is probably well taken too. If it caused those triple gold rates to go up, I mean, the potential is there for it to cost the county even more money to pay into.
That's exactly
Right, there's 88, I mean, we got 88 employees signed up in that, and that's gauging what we're increasing everybody. I mean, we got close to 400 employees, and
Yeah.
these 88 employees are gauging what's happening with the rest of them.
I think the other thing that one of the subcommittees talked about was starting to base it off of whatever plan has the most enrollees in it, which would probably make more sense.
Right.
Well, I serve on the insurance committee, and I know there's a lot of work by a lot of people on this. I think our employees also understand that there's some concerns with the way the system is currently set up. And Commissioner Gross, you're exactly right. When it comes to that triple gold, I think it can be something that's causing everybody's dollar amounts to go up. And when we say that, it's the employees too. It's, we're in a cost share situation with them, so it impacts them as well. So they're I can tell you they're tuned in and they're looking for better alternatives. I know, we've had a lot of discussions too about what turns out to be the cash benefit that goes out, that's being paid out to those who don't need to, and I have some concerns about that. The whole intent of that plan was that it was to be used for things medically related.
Right.
And as it is now, somebody can get a cash payment, make a car payment, and
Right, right.
that's never been the intent for that.
That's,
so.
that is things that we'd be looking at. That's difficult to do,
Right.
when you're taking away somebody's, car payment like you said.
Well,
or
but
some other
the fact of the
payment,
matter
but,
is you got to look at what the
it
intent
would-
was of it.
Yes.
And the intent
Yeah.
is for,
The other
to
thing with
provide medical.
the other thing with the triple gold is that we only had 2 family members on it this year, and for next year we have no family members. So all of our triple gold plans are single plans now. So.
well, I'm looking forward to the day that the triple gold does the same thing that happened to our double gold at one point in time, and it just goes away, because it's going to be
Yeah.
far better off for all of our employees.
Yeah, and
There's still just as good a coverages out there.
Yep. And a note is that the insurance committee, we do have union representation from all the unions on that insurance committee board. And I think they were all very supportive of this move. I don't think anybody abstained or declined to vote. So it was a good conversation and unanimous in the insurance committee that we limit this triple gold new enrollment.
While I stepped out, was there any motions made or anything?
No.
Okay.
Thank you. So at this point, we're looking for then a motion to eliminate the triple gold healthcare plan for all new enrollees effective January 1, 2018. And that's whether they're a union or not.
Correct.
Make a motion to approve.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried.
Okay.
Anything else, Darren?
Nope, that was it.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right, we'll move into our committee reports, and I think we'll start to my right this time. Commissioner Woodall?
Thank you.
No, we'll start.
Yep, sorry.
Are you ready?
Yep.
Good.
Last week, I attended the Planning Commission meeting. There was one item one issue on the agenda. We did hear information regarding a preliminary plat south of Moorhead on Highway 75. It's something that had been in discussion at the Planning Commission level earlier this spring. There was a lot of pushback because there was talk of an asphalt hot mix plant there. It's just south of a Knife River gravel processing plant, and so the discussion was good, and there was some concerned residents based on that prior information of the plat, but that is not included in it now. So it was recommended unanimously to this board to hear that information. I think Tim said we'll hear it the beginning of January. And then we did have 2 reappointments. Tim Brendamule was reappointed to his 3rd term, and Andrea Cuxer was appointed to her 2nd term. They've been good, very active members in the Planning Commission, so I'm happy they've agreed to serve in that capacity some more. I also attended on Wednesday. I had to miss a couple meetings because this was a longer meeting, a name change committee for Lakes and Prairies Community Action. The reasoning is there's a nationwide push to align the names of the different agencies to fall under the community action umbrella, so there's a better recognition with their services provided. It included staff and board members, just a good dialogue, lengthy dialogue, but it was good. So That concludes my reports for last week.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Wayland?
I had jail and LEC construction meeting, and we've already discussed that. And we had a diversion authority board meeting, and just the general business items there. And then we said goodbye to Daryl Vanu, who is leaving the board and has been with the diversion project since it started many years ago, and so and has done an outstanding job with for the diversion authority, so he'll be missed. Then we had a closed session with the attorneys on some of the litigation issues, and that was it for me.
I do have one thing that I forgot. I neglected to say that that task force for the diversion that I was on, I don't know if this board's been made aware that that report is in the process. The preliminary report is done. We individually each need to write a summary on points of the discussion that we think would benefit or not benefit, and the governor's offices are both doing that. So last week I had several calls between governor's offices to find out what our deadline is for that. So it sounds like January 5th is our deadline, and I would assume that that report will be made available right away after that. So.
Thank you. Commissioner Gross?
We had the PIC Committee, Personnel Issues Committee meeting after their board meeting last week, and we discussed relocating some of our offices to make the land management office more of a one-stop, one-shop place on the second floor, and I think that is in the process of being completed. Also on Wednesday, I had a historical society meeting. We went over the budget there, and they're doing it's going very good at the Historical Society. The St. John's Bible presentation that they've got, their exhibit that they have there right now, is drawing a lot of people into the place, and it's they're going to end the year up in nice shape, and looking forward to a good year in 2018. That's all I have.
All right, thank you. All right, I also had the Personal Issues Committee, and the one item that we did have for discussion was the formation of a land management office, basically combining or putting more of the services associated with planning and zoning and appraisals and all that stuff all together to make it easier for the consumer who comes in for, whether it's looking for permits or what have you. So I think we'll probably see our administrator proposing something coming up in the near future. Then I also had a communities facilities task force meeting where we just got together with the Morehead School Board, the county, and the city, reviewed the projects that are going on, and of course the Morehead School District, Dorothy Dodds now has 700 students in the elementary. And we reported on our all of our different county projects moving forward, and of course the city's focus has been on the 2020 First Street corridor, as well as they're working on legislation for a bonding bill for the proposed new transfer station. Then Wednesday I had the diversion public outreach meeting, which there was a recap of the governor's task force meetings. There was a report on the North Dakota Water Conference, and obviously now there's with the proposed changes that will come from the task force, there's additional look that need to be done with the Clomar, and then potential look at the an amendment to the environmental impact statement that was originally done. And then also starting to plan for these proposed changes that we're looking at it could create some new impacts to people that were previously not going to be impacted, so we're looking at the process for how do we reach out to those people and start the dialogue with them after we get these final reports from the task force. On Thursday, we did have the actual diversion authority meeting, and that one, we approved the appraisal contract with Crown for moving forward with how we would go about appraising land for the project. We did approve the 2018 budget. And let's see. I had requested that the Diversion Authority create a new Operations and Maintenance Committee separate from the Land Management Committee, as that will be very important moving forward to the operations is also a critical component to obtaining a Minnesota permit. And so we'd hate to see everything else move forward that the task force recommends and then not have something moving forward on the operations plan, which also needs to be done. So there's a lot associated with that, and so I think that's going to come back. They all voted to move forward with establishing the committee, and now it's going to come back to see how that works with all the other contracts and stuff that we have. So hopefully that'll be resolved at our next diversion meeting. We did have a discussion about membership to the Diversion Authority. I know Governor Dayton had specifically requested that there be somebody upstream and downstream on the Minnesota side associated with the Diversion Authority, and I certainly spoke up on, I know that there had been a seat at the table and for upstream people, and I have actually suggested that the commissioner from our district in Clay County that has the impacts become a member of that committee. And in this particular case, it would be Commissioner Mojo, but who knows going forward, whoever, and that even once this project's done, that's going to be an important component as far as going back to what I talked about, the operations and maintenance, to make sure that there's a voice from those people. So none of those decisions have been made yet. There certainly is the awareness of Governor Dayton's concern and request regarding those issues. I think it's, I would like to say it's, I have a strong sense of that the position I just talked about from the upstream could become reality and be a voting member. There has been some discussion about downstream maybe being at the table, but not as a voting members. That's the opinion of some, so we'll have to see how that develops. But certainly it's being considered, and that's a good thing. So.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. And then also, we did have the jail construction meeting, and I don't need to get any more into that. I think Brian talked about the key components of the changes that are being made to date. I just want to compliment again how smooth this seems to be going, and construction engineers is really really doing a nice job keeping this thing, all the wheels turning at the same time. So, and that then concludes my report. Brian?
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. PIC meeting, I don't think there's a whole lot more to say about that, other than I think probably we'll schedule that for, to present to the full board on the land management piece, maybe the second week in January, somewhere in that area. Put some things together for it. And then a follow-up to that meeting, we had another committee meeting of the land management formation, because even though we're recommending some slight changes right now in personnel and location and things, the idea of the committee, and hopefully you will concur, is to continually look at that, to how we can become more of a more efficient operation in the land management function to serve our customer. Committee referenced the facility task force for the city, school, and county has already been discussed. There's not much more to say about that. Had a central administration managers meeting, went over, I guess, things that are going on in the county and the personnel issues and things that we look for. That went well. Construction meeting, yeah, Jeff Reed goes over the proposed schedule into the future, and that takes quite a bit of the meeting, and then we go over the changes and things, so you've got a full update on that, I think. And the diversion meeting, you've certainly gotten an in-depth discussion as to what went on there. So that concludes my report, Mr. Chair.
All right, very good. Colleen, anything additional for us? All right, well, that concludes our board's business for 2017. So we'll see everybody at the start of the year. Happy New Year. And we'll be adjourned.